Greetings, Morgan County. My name is Velde T, coordinator of the Morgan County Family Connection. Thank you for joining us today for this session of Connecting Through Conversations, where we take time to talk with some of your most influential and inspiring leaders. Today we have with us Mr. Pete Caulk, who is an airline pilot and crew resource management instructor with Life Wings Partners, LLC. Pete has an extensive history in both the civilian and corporate worlds and has served, among other things, as a Navy fighter pilot, Top Gun instructor, and 777 captain for a major airline. He currently provides teamwork training to hospitals and builds checklists and communications protocols at organizations such as Ohio State University, University of California at San Diego State, Irvine, and Davis, Wake Forest University, and numerous others. Pete attended the U.S. Naval Academy, where he majored in operations research and graduated with distinction and magna cum laude in 1977. He played varsity football all 4 years, starting as a defensive end, and served in the Midshipman Command Structure. He also won the Operations Research Society of America Award as the outstanding graduate in his major. With an aviation career spanning 32 years, Pete has flown 17 major types of aircraft with 14,000 flight hours and 400 carrier-arrested landings. Pete also flew as a MIG pilot in the movie and box office hit Top Gun. Pete has been instrumental in developing and starting mentoring programs for schools, businesses, corporations, including the Mentoring One program right here in Morgan County. Pete currently resides in Bishop, Georgia with his wife, Peg. They have 3 children, Ryan, a 2002 USA FA graduate based at the Pentagon, Aaron, a speech pathology in Plano, Texas, and Kelly attended a master's program at the University of Sydney. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Pete Caulk to our conversation. Thank you so much, Pete, for joining us. You know, it is really an honor to have the opportunity to sit down with you. Thank you for taking time out your busy schedule to just join us today and have this conversation with me.
Glad to be here.
I want to start off by just asking a question. What led you to pursue the career in aviation, and then also share with us what brought you here to Morgan County serving?
It goes back many years. My dad was a pilot in the Navy, as were 2 of my brothers as well. And I remember we were at my grandparents' beach house way back when, and my dad flew over the plane or over the beach at about 50 feet and waved at me out the window. I was 8 years old at the time, and I remember looking up and saying, "That's what I want to do." Wow! So, yeah, the whole time through high school, middle school, I knew that's what I wanted to be, and that's why I ended up at the Naval Academy and really, really enjoyed it.
Wow!
So I got out of the Navy in 1988, joined Delta, and originally we were in Texas, and then when they shut that base down, I moved here, part of Delta Airlines. Atlanta's the big hub, so we followed that, and here we are, and we love it.
Okay, great. All right, what brought you to serving actually here in Morgan County?
You mean with the mentoring program?
Yes.
Actually, that's my neighbor. Many people in the city know Mike Conrad's. Their family's been involved in community activities for years. And he actually lives across the street from me, and we talked about this. And he had indicated that he wanted to get some sort of mentoring program going within the community. And one thing led to another, and so Mike and I developed the Mentoring One Morgan program that you're familiar with.
Right. Okay. All right. And we'll share a little bit about that, more about that in a minute. But I want to first talk about, over the 32 years that you have worked in the field of aviation. I know you've had some exciting experiences, some very interesting, and I just can only imagine. One being that you had opportunity to serve as the MIG pilot in the movie Top Gun.
Right.
I bet that was exciting to do that.
It was. It was fun.
Okay. So I would like for you to take this time to share with us more about that particular experience. And if that wasn't the highlight, share with us what would you consider to be the highlight of your aviation career?
It actually kind of, in terms of being fun, it was probably the highlight. I was an instructor at Top Gun when the Paramount folks showed up, so they used us to fly the MiGs. And it was just kind of a neat experience. I was there the first day. I'll never forget it. They basically said, this is what we want to get on film, and this is what we want you to do. And there were 4 of us that were doing the first day's mission. And we looked at each other and said, that's not going to look real good, and it's kind of dangerous and not smart. And their response was great. They said, shut up, you're just a bunch of pilots. And so we went out and did pretty much what they said, although we weren't going to be unsafe. And the film came back. It wasn't very good. And so the next day, the same thing. They said, shut up, you're a bunch of pilots. And then day 3, they said, okay, how do we do this? And it was just kind of a neat experience. Our only rules were don't bend any metal and don't hurt anybody.
Right.
And so we had a real sharp guy. In fact, he lives in the Atlanta area as well, a guy named Bob Willard, who rose very high in the Navy ranks. And he kind of took over and just did a marvelous job. And so we got to go to the premiere and, got to meet Kenny Loggins and hang out at parties. And my wife just had a great time. The kids, the kids got to be part of it. And we just had a lot of fun. So, operationally, it wasn't the highlight. It's the flying looks great on the film. It wasn't that hard to do. I'd say the biggest thing is flying off aircraft carriers. Fun during the day, terrifying at night. And glad I did it, and glad I live here now.
Right. Okay. Well, that was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. With such an accomplished history and accomplished career, what would you say was the event or the string of events that led you to become passionate about mentoring?
I got out right after the movie came out. In fact, my tour at Top Gun was my last tour in the active duty military. And we moved to Texas, and I was flying in the reserves and flying in Delta Airline, with Delta there in Dallas. And my neighbor asked me to come in and talk to her resource class. These are all the kids who were designated at risk. They were having trouble, and she told me they were going to be a pretty rough crowd, and I had a little presentation. Basically, it was just say no, and study hard, and you can do this too. And came in, and I found them to be marvelous kids. They were asking very intelligent questions, and the teachers in the back of the room going, I don't understand. And afterwards, 2 young lads came up and asked if they could do this, and I said, well, of course you can. And they responded with, we're not doing real well in school. One had been thrown out of their parents' house. The other was a single mother, both certainly at risk. And so I started coming in and helping them with math. That's what they were having trouble with. And one thing led to another, and I'd probably go in 3 times a week, and it turned into a mentoring relationship. And they ended up doing well and graduating. We stayed in touch, to this day.
Wow.
And then the next year there were more kids and more, and finally, it was more than I could handle. So I went in under the Community Reinvestment Act, which was, I think it was about the 1990 time frame.
Okay.
And banks were required to actually contribute based on the bailouts and everything that were occurring. So I would go to the banks and ended up going to all the other business communities, and I would find local people to come and mentor the kids. And so it was a very progressive principal and executive assistant. So the 3 of us got together and just developed the program, and it evolved from trying different things to what we are doing now in Mentoring One Morgan. And it worked. And at one school we had about 120 kids.
Wow.
And I think 85% of the ones, and they were all designated at risk, went from flunking out to honor roll.
Wow.
And so that lit the fire for me, and I've seen how effective it can be. So it's just always been a passion for me. I love doing it. There's never enough mentors, and
Right.
you just got to train them right, treat them right, and that's what this is all about.
Right. Okay. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Wanted to also ask you, I know one of the reasons I wanted to sit down with you during this time, January, January is the National Mentoring Month, and wanted to bring awareness to our community partners and Morgan County as a whole about the importance of mentoring. And do want you to share at this time a little bit more about what exactly is Mentoring One Morgan, and how can we get involved as a community?
Just give us your name. That's all you need. Mentoring One Morgan basically came out of a desire to centralize the recruiting process. Every civic organization was getting hit up by the elementary school, the middle school, the high school. There was no coordination of efforts. And there was no quality control over the program itself. And in some schools, they were treated really, really well. It was a function of an aggressive and very capable individual in charge. At other schools, they would kind of disappear. They wouldn't get hooked up with the right kid. So Mentoring One Morgan essentially encompasses primary school, elementary, middle school, high school, We've partnered with the Boys and Girls Club as well as the Sheriff's Department, and we look at a lot of different ways to get kids involved. And I guess the biggest thing I'd want the mentors to understand is whatever you want to do, there's the opportunity to do exactly that. If you've got 1 hour, one day a week, that's enough to be a mentor from the academic side of the house. We try to pair people up based on if they read well, or if they want to teach a kid to read, we'll put them with a kid that's having trouble. Right. We always have trouble finding math people. So, and in fact, that's one of the things Dr. Mal and I are trying to set up in the high school is enhance the math program. Okay. As an example, here's a great story that I think is pretty cool. The metric that the state of Georgia uses to determine how many prison cells to build in the out years, or one of the metrics, is the reading level in the 3rd grade. Which just came as a shock. Came as a shock to me. So the RISE program is conducted through the Boys and Girls Club, and we bring in men, kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade, to read to the kids, kind of hopefully to just show them that reading is good and expose them to it. But I think the thing I'm really excited about, I attended a couple events with the police department and the sheriff's department, and the sheriff had indicated that he wanted to involve the police department. So, frankly, I was riding in November on the way to Thanksgiving, and all the reports about the things that were going on in Missouri, and it just struck me that here was an opportunity to get the police involved in a positive manner. So, actually, I called the sheriff's department and the police department, and they now have an officer coming in every day to read to the young kids, 1st, 2nd, and in kindergarten. So so a uniformed individual coming in, and the point is that these are good people. They're here to help. So we've got that. We've got some summer programs that are available. The biggest thing I like to do is the academic side of the house, to where we pair up a child that's having trouble academically with someone who's got the strength in that area, and then a mentoring relationship just naturally develops. Initially, it can be difficult, but this is the way we do it. Some people want to come in and just share lunch with someone that needs the consistency. Okay. The biggest thing is someone just needs to stick with it. Right. The kids need the consistency, and that's what this is all about.
Exactly. Wow. So it seems like people can get involved with this Mentoring One program at any level.
Absolutely.
At any level. So there's no reason to shy away from it.
No.
You can find your niche somewhere within the program.
Well, and we also designed it to be unobtrusive to the adult. We'd like them there once a week. Doesn't have to be in the same day. Doesn't have to be in the same time. We have what we call school points of contact at each school that run the program, and so the individuals are put in touch with them. They train them on the intricacies of the school. And if you can't make it that week, all we ask is that you call. Right. Because the kids end up heartbroken if their mentor doesn't show up. Right. So that's, and again, we understand family vacations. You might be gone 2 weeks. That's fine. We just want people to participate and work with the kids.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for sharing that information. Back in April of 2000, the Georgia legislature actually delegated authority to the Morgan County Family Connection to be the authority in the community to make people aware about the needs of family and children in the particular county, and to get partnerships to help meet those needs. I want to ask you, having worked closely with families and in the schools and with students, what would you say is the biggest needs from your perspective in the Morgan County area as it regards to children and families?
I think the biggest thing is just the stable influence, in an environment sometimes where it isn't stable, where the family's having problems. So Family Connections is a great program, and in some areas we try to involve them. For instance, some of the time some mentors want to get involved on the family level, and obviously that's a case where we'd involve Family Connections. So I think just having the ability to put good people in with families. And you've seen what helping with budgeting, just any part of running a family, having a family work well, I think that's what it's all about. So Family Connections is a natural fit with the mentoring program and the Boys and Girls Club and the police department. I think when we involve them all together, I think the community wins.
Right, and I agree. I agree. Thank you for sharing that. I want to just end with one more question that I'd like to ask everyone. I personally believe that everyone is sent here for a purpose. We're created for a purpose, here on assignment. And every day of our lives, we are writing what's going to be known our legacy, or living what's going to be known as our legacy. let's say years from now, someone wants to write an article and highlight the legacy of Mr. Pete Caulk. What would you want the highlight of that legacy to be?
I would think that I made a difference, that I got involved and it helped. And that's what I look to do.
Awesome. And it seems like you are doing that.
We're
Thank
trying.
you so much, Mr. Caulk, for being here on this session. It has been inspirational. It's been enlightening. I've learned a lot, and I appreciate you taking your time out for being here. Much success as you continue to make a difference in the lives of families and children. We appreciate you.
Glad to be here, and if someone wants to get involved, they can contact me or Stacy Dearing at the elementary school.
Okay.
And she's the point of contact. So anybody that wants to get involved, we can use you as much or as little as time as you have. So we look forward to many more community members coming in.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I would like to also thank you, our viewing audience, for watching this session of Connecting Through Conversations. We invite you to watch all of our upcoming sessions and join us the third Tuesday of each month at our collaborative table, where we will continue to gather partners, gather data, connect partners, and impact families. Until next time, this is Velde Hardy. Have a wonderful day.